Good morning, guys. Good morning. You guys are doing wonderful. I hope your weekend was wonderful. Please let me know if you can hear me. Okay. If you can hear me, please leave a comment. I want to be sure. Uh, I want to be sure you guys can hear me. Leave a comment if you can hear me, guys. So the plan is to be going live every week, and we talk about what happened the previous week in the market, and we try to have clarity on what to expect. So let me know in the comment section if you can hear me while we wait for more people to join. Uh, can you hear me? Leave a comment if you can hear me, guys. Let's go. Leave a comment. I have to confirm from my end as well. So if you can hear me, please drop a comment that you can hear me. So I know I'm not talking to myself. Nobody is commenting anything. I need to be sure you guys can hear me. Okay. Think. So last week was kind of a crazy week in the market. The since did not really go as planned. The market was a little bit down. So just to be sure, like I said, I'm not talking to myself. Please drop a comment saying yes, I can hear you, Micah. So I'm sure you guys can hear me. Please leave a comment, guys. Can you guys hear me? Leave a comment if you can hear me, please. Um, can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Let me know in the comment section. Please let me know. While waiting for some comments for us to start the video, nobody is saying anything. If you can hear me, please comment that you can hear me. So I know I'm not talking to myself. It's very, very important. Okay, let's share my screen. Since nobody's saying anything, so let me just go ahead to share my screen. Um, okay, not yet. I think I need to stop share for now. Okay. Henry says he can hear me. Okay, that was amazing. Before we go ahead, please, it's very, very important to also like this video. It's very, very important to like this video. Henry, thanks for letting me know that you can hear me. I just wanted to confirm. Um, let me go to the NGS disclosure first because that's where we used to highlight what happened in the market last week. Okay. So where are you guys watching from? Where are you watching from? Are you in Lagos? Are you in Lagos traffic? Let's get the comments rolling. Where are you watching from? I'm trying to share my screen. Let me see. Please let me hear my. If you can see my. Every time these guys are having problem. Can you see my screen? If you can see my screen, please comment that you can see my screen. It's very, very important. Let's go to the markets. I think it's data, like market data or something. Can you see my screen? Can you guys see my screen? Let me know if you can see my screen. Um, so let's try to understand what happened last week in the market. Can you guys see my screen? Let me know, guys. Can you see my screen, please? Let me be sure you guys can see my screen. Okay, Sarah Debanjo says she can hear me. Okay, thank you, Sarah. Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen? I just started sharing my screen. I'm trying to go over what happened last week in the market. If you can see my screen, please let me know in the comment section that you can see my screen. Let's make it interactive, guys. Can you see my screen? Okay. Thank you, Henry. Thank you, Henry. Okay, so last week, let me be sure. This is for last week ended November 21st, 2025, right? And usually every week the NGX they drop like a market report of what happened, and you can find this when you go to the ngsgroup.com website. Then you go to here that says data. You click on market report, and then you can basically see a highlight like different documents that drop every week, usually every Friday, I think around 4 5 p.m. of what happened in the markets for the week, right? And we are going to be going over what happened last week, right? So this is it, document for last week. So as you can see, a total turnover of 2.668 billion shares was traded last week. That was worth over 6.264 billion naira, right? So this is the number of shares that was traded in terms of volume, and then this is the value. These numbers of shares that are traded, this is the value it amounted to, right? And then in terms of number of people that are engaged in this volume of shares, it was around 107,000 people that 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 exchanged shares last week, right? And if you compare it to okay, before we start comparing it, you will see that last week the financial service industry, which has to do with finance overall, like banking, you know, yeah, banking, majorly banking stocks is what make up this financial service industry, right? And then you can see that in this particular sector, over 1.820 billion shares valued at 44, billion naira, which is almost half of this. That's what the banking shares accounted for that. Even in terms of the total number of shares, it was mainly banking shares that were traded, right? And then you can say that who's contributing is 8.21%. I mean, that's the kind of volume we see in the banking sector. You can easily enter and exit your trade in the banking sector. Um, Let me see. Let's scroll down a little bit. So before we scroll down, let's compare to last week first of all. So in terms of the comparison, you see that the previous week, which ended on the November 14th, there are a total turnover of 7.325 billion shares that was worth over 156.42 billion naira in 134,000 deals. So if you compare, you can see that last week was not really a good one for the market. Uh, in terms of total turnover, you have 2.668, but on the 14th there was higher, turnover, right? So it didn't drop by more than half, I believe. This is 2.668 is not up to half of seven, right? And in terms of value, you can see that I mean, even though the turnover was not much, I mean, in terms of shares worth, it was still high. You can see 106.264 and compared to the 156. So this the week ended November 14th. In terms of the value of shares, it was actually higher, right? But I mean, the turnover was also high, so I was expecting more on the 14th. And then even you can see, even with a small turnover in terms of volume of shares, um, the value was still high to an extent, right? So if you scroll down a little bit and try to see which stocks which stocks led the chart. So if you scroll down a little bit, you see that first of all, the All-Share Index, which is like let's say a ratio that you can use to know how the market performed, it slightly dropped this last week. So it closed at 147,000 points. But 14th of um on the 14th of November, if you scroll down a bit, you see that it closed at 149,000. So it means that it dropped by around two points. Right. So if you scroll down more, try to see the top gainers for the week. You can see NCR is still leading. NCR, University Press, Tantalizer. I'm not surprised that this Tantalizer is on the list because I'm not surprised Tantalizer is on the list because Tantalizer early last week, we mentioned that Tantalizer is a stock. We went over Tantalizer. You can go watch the previous live session. We went over Tantalizer. I mean, um, we saw the restructuring that is going on. So people are basically trying to key into the stock right now. hoping that on the long run things play out well for them, right? So that's why Tantalizer is still on this list. And last week, if you check, if you scroll down a little bit, you can see that Tantalizer was not here, but we had NCR and we had ASO savings. We touch on this ASO savings because there's something going on with this company currently that we need to touch on. But if we you can see Tantalizer and Caverton, UACN, UACN. I'm not surprised UACN is on this list. I think there's a deal that they currently struck. I think they purchased Chivita or something. So people are also trying to key into UACN. And you have Ikeja Hotel, you have Prestige, you have this Macau, and then you have Unicel. So these are the stocks that led the chart for last week. And then in terms of price decliners, you can see International Energy Insurance, Macnicol. This I usually find it difficult pronouncing the name. And then you have Veritas Capital, ICO Insurance, Living Trust Mortgage Bank. Like most of these top insurance companies are basically declining. And in our one of the videos we made earlier this week, where we went through stocks to look out for the month, we talked about sovereign trust insurance, and I mean, it has not really performed the best this month so far. But this week, I think last week it was among the top decliners, and this week is not here. Hopefully, we'll look at next week. But you have NEM Insurance. NEM Insurance was a stock we called in October, right? We called NEM Insurance in October, and I mean, it did not really appreciate as much as we want. But I still think that people made some little money from this stock, maybe 10% or thereabout from this stock. Because when we called it, I think it was around 28 or thereabout, and it rose up a little bit before falling down again, right? And then you have Access Holdings. So these are basically the top decliners for the week, right? A stock I'm really looking out for is Veritas Capital. I mean, I'm really looking out for this stock, for this company stock. ICO is also another solid one, but really, I'm looking out for Veritas because I made solid money from Veritas Capital. I mean, back I think sometime last year, right? That was when we started following this Veritas Capital, and then it has gone from when I started tracking Veritas Capital, it was trading at around something 70 something kobo, right? And then I sold at around I think 120 something kobo before it now went very high again and now it's falling. So I'm watching Veritas very closely. I'm watching Veritas very closely, right? So this is what happened so far for the week. So you have the top gainers and then you have the top 10 decliners, and then you can see that if you compare to the previous week before last week, you see that there are a lot of changes. I mean, the only company that is still experiencing some gain is this NCR. This NCR. I'm not surprised as well because there's a lot of internal things that is going on in the company, right? So NCR is still on the list. ASO savings. This ASO savings, I think people started keying in because of there's this share reconstructure that they are currently doing. You're going to talk a little bit about that, right? So people are keying into ASO savings, but now it has been suspended. The NGX just suspended ASO savings. And I believe that once they lift that suspension, the price might go up. It's likely to go up more, right? So you cannot purchase this stock now. You cannot purchase ASO savings currently. But we're going to touch on it. We're going to touch on it. So far last week there was a little bit of a share adjustment, right? Aradels paid dividends and MTN Nigeria paid dividends. Aradel paid 10 naira, MTN Nigeria paid 5 naira. So anytime a company pays share, they have to mark it down. They have to bring down the price by that number of the amount of dividend they paid. So it was trading at 700 naira, and then they had to, when you pay that dividend, they subtract the 10 naira. Usually, after the dividend has been paid, after some time, the price you readjust again, usually upwards, right? And then Chams Holdings, another stock that really made people money in October, right? Chams Holding, they did a private placement. And one thing people need to understand about private placement, we are going to touch on it, but they did a private placement listing over 1,955,910,000 ordinary shares at around 1.87 kobo per share, through private placement to investors. So some private investors got into Chams Holding, and usually people that are offered private placement are high net worth individuals. They don't just buy penny, they don't buy with cheap money, they buy with big capital. And so they had to list it, they had to list the shares. They gave those people, the private like investors that purchased the private placement, right? And Champs is around, is still trading at around, is trading currently at around 3 naira, 10 kobo there about the last time I checked. And then for me, I think it's a long term stock to hold in your portfolio. So the shares have been added to Charms and then readjusted. I believe that um, anytime a company adds new shares, I mean, dilution happens to an extent, especially if you don't purchase more, right? So there are high chances that EPS might drop a little bit for Charms, and EPS stands for earnings per share. So that's just it for Charms, guys. Let's go over some of the top headlines for the week, because it's very, very important to touch on some of these top headlines as it will help shape our new week, guys. Um, so let's stop sharing. So guys, I hope you guys are liking this video. It's very, very important. Like this video. So let's look at some of the top headlines for the week and see what we can get out of it and how we can plan our new week. All right. So let's give me a second. So who's watching from Lagos? Is anybody watching from Lagos? I recently just moved to Lagos, so I'm just trying to adapt to this new city. Sterling Bank. So there are some things we are going to touch on, especially Sterling Bank. Sterling Bank is a stock we called last year. Like every year, I like to go over the stocks for the year, and we're going to be going over that. Maybe not in this video, but I mean, you should be expecting that basically. And most of those stocks have made people money, serious money. So let me share my screen. Oh, Samson Onyebanji. Oh, from Lagos. Amazing. Guys, tell me where you're watching from. Tell me where you guys are watching from. Let's go over NGX suspense also. So can you see my screen? If you can see my screen, let me know in the comment section. Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen, guys? Please let me know. Can you see my screen? Let me be sure you guys can see my screen, so I'm not presenting to myself. Okay, blood. It's blood. Can you see it now? Samson, can you see it now? Oops. What did I just do? Ibrahim from Abuja. Oh, welcome, Ibrahim. It's good to have you on this live. Okay, Henry from Lagos. Amazing. Good to have you, Henry. So you guys can see my screen, so I can proceed. So also savings, um, they have been suspended. So you can see that on this weekly, ASO savings appreciated very, very well in price. ASO, where is ASO savings again? This is for which week? Okay, you can see it here. So the previous week, ASO savings appreciated. Let me pull up the chart of ASO savings so you guys can see it. Uh, let me pull up the chart. I hope you guys can see my screen though. So the NGX suspended the trading of ASO savings with effect on from Wednesday. So they suspended it as of Wednesday the 19th to allow for the seamless execution of share reconstruction exercise. The suspension announced by the is expected to facilitate the reconciliation of record between the company registrar and the Central Clearance Security System, which is the CSCS. So basically, if you read further this article, you see that the act enable both the registrar. So every company, every publicly listed company in Nigeria usually have what they call a registrar, and a registrar is in charge of like taking care of the shareholders of the business of the company, right? So when a company wants to pay dividends, the people that handle that dividend payment are usually the registrar. When a company wants to, do right issue, public offer, people that handle that is the registrar, right? So because of ASO savings and loan, they are going through this reconstruction phase. They are trying to restructure their business, and especially their when it comes to their balance sheet and the like their financials, basically their shares and all that stuff. So they want to do what they call a share reconstructor, where I think they are trying to like bring down the amount of shares that they have, like because I think they have lots of shares basically, and then these their shares, their share price has been stagnant for almost 8 years now. It has never really moved in price, and then I believe that why they are trying to do this now, they are seeing that the market have started developing, and they are seeing that people are retail investors like me and you are now coming to the market and trying to pick some shares, and then they're trying to capitalize on that, right? So they are basically doing a reconstruction of their shares where they reduce the number of shares that's the business, the number of outstanding shares that the business have, and then your value, the money you have in a business is still going to remain the same basically, but the number of shares you have will reduce. For example, now let's imagine you have, let's say, 10 shares of ASO savings, right? That is worth, let's say, 100,000 naira, right? So what they might do, they might bring down that 10 that no 10 shares is little. Okay, 10 shares is okay. Let's say you have 10 shares in the business. So what they are likely doing when it comes to reconstruction, they want to reduce the number of outstanding shares. So you might go from having 10 shares in ASO savings to having them in just say five, right? Now, it doesn't mean that 5 shares will not be worthless. That 5 shares is going to still be worth that same 100,000 naira, but it's just that you no longer have 10 shares, you just have 5 shares. Now, if you read this article further, you find out that the ratio to the reduction has not yet been stated, meaning we don't know whether they're going to do for every 10 shares you have, it will now convert to one. You understand? So, I mean, the whole technicalities of that has not yet been stated, right? So, this is a stock you want to be watching very, very closely. Like I'm watching it very, very closely, and I can say people that had, I believe people that have started seeing some things in the company went ahead to start buying it, and that's why if you check, let me just share my whole window so you guys can see everything. That's why if you check, let me share my whole window. So that's why if you check, I don't know if you guys can see my screen now. Okay, my screen is not yet showing. So I just sharing my screen again. I stopped sharing for a moment. Okay, I think you guys can see it now. That's why if you check, you see that it has started moving. The price has started moving. If you go to ASO Savings Cassia, I just want to be sure you guys can see my screen. If you go to ASO Savings Cassia, okay, you guys can see it. If you go to ASO Savings Cassia, you can see that this is a stock that, or if you use the off since 2016, basically it has been at 50 kobo. It has never moved in price. Like it has never moved in price. And then all of a sudden, you can just see this huge pump. Boom, it just went up like this crazy, right? So you also want to be careful. You also want to be careful because this share reconstruction could be cosmetic. It could just be makeup. You're just trying to do, let me say you look ugly. So you just come and do makeup to look beautiful, right? And then it's only when you sleep and wake up the next morning and makeup have cleared. And then you now know that, oh, I went and married, or I went and hung out with an ugly lady, something like that. Don't mind me for using a woman. I'm not like, I hope you get the point. But the point I'm trying to make is that this could all be cosmetic. So you have to still do your research. Personally, I'm going to look deeply into the business. I know that they offer mortgage banking in the sense that you can basically borrow money from them to build a house, and I believe the mortgage industry will soon blow up in Nigeria, right? So these are some of the things that investors might be considering. I think that they just listed this particular, is it an ETF, MREIF or something, recently on the stock market. So some of those sentiments is what's driving that's what could be driving people buying this stock and made it to pump like this. And then maybe people heard about the news or something. Because you can see it went from 0.50, then climbed to 56, little, and then boom, it just went up, and now it's at 87, like 107, and they suspended them, right? Now, this is what you need to understand, that these guys have been suspended for a very, very long time before they unsuspended them, and then you now saw this pump, and then they suspended them again because of this share reconstruction, right? So this is a stock I'm watching very, very closely. All I have to go and do right now is to look at their fundamentals, to do deeper research, to know who is in charge of the business, try to understand what's going on, and then know if it's something that is worth keying into. So ASO savings is a stock you might want to very watch very well, very, very closely. Right. Um let's leave ASO savings for now. And then we have Sterling Bank. Sterling Bank, it's very, very important we touch on Sterling Bank. Why you're touching on Sterling Bank is because sometime last year, if you go to my Telegram, I think I posted about it or something. My screen is blank. Okay, okay. Let me go to my Telegram. I hope I can get it. Sometime last year, I posted. I'm not really active on this Telegram. In case you guys want to join, I just once in a while I check it. But yeah, sometime last year I posted about the top 5 stocks to buy, and all of them have done very, very well. So let's scroll up a little bit. Okay, you can see it. I have a bot that helps me track it, right? So you can see an iLeasing, QT, Sterling Bank, UACN. This was as of March this year, and most of these stocks are literally doubled in price and have done well for people that invested in them. You can see Universal Insurance. Universal insurance, when I said calling universal insurance, it was too cheap in price. And then it's now if you check universal insurance, people made money from universal insurance. But you can see Sterling Bank. Sterling Bank was here. Now, if you check the share price of Sterling, let's check the share price of Sterling. If you check the share price of Sterling Bank, you can see, I mean, we called it sometime in the end of December, around 5 naira or thereabout, and then it went out currently at 7.20 naira. I'll not be surprised if the price goes down. Talk about why I think it might go down and then later go up again, right? So Sterling Bank, I mean, they have their profit to hit 83 billion naira in 2025, right? But you can see this little stuff here, but it needs to earn more. So I'm going to explain to you why it needs to earn more, right? So I mean, over the years been growing. You see, in 2024, the bank achieved a 102% year on year increase in profit, meaning they grew their profit by over 102%. They literally doubled their profit and added, extra distance to their profit, right? They doubled their profit. And you can see it was primarily driven by strong top line performance, right? Um, in 2025, it's in the momentum carried into 2025. In the first 9 months of 2025, it surged by 127%, which is crazy year over year compared to the same period, in 2024, right? Now, ahead of the results, you can see Sterling Bank had released its Q4 2025 forecast. And when they release this forecast, they are targeting an additional 20.69 billion naira in profit. Now, if you combine everything with this their forecast, you can see the bank is expected to close the year with 82.994 billion naira, is striking 90% increase over 2024. So they are basically, if they hit their expectations, they are likely going to grow their profit by over 90% compared to what they made last year. Now, if you read further, you can see it, but the real question is whether Sterling Bank can sustain the pace of their growth in Q4. Now, you can see the bank must not only hit that their target, but it must also beat it. Like they need to hit that. Is it very, very important that selling bank hits this their target? It's very, very important, and they should try as much as possible to beat that target, because why their profit is rising, why their profit is rising, that's what they call EPS. It helps you know as an investor how much you are making for each share that you own in the company. So if you own 5 shares, for each one of the 5 shares I have in Sterling Bank, how much is the return is giving me, right? Now, you can see that EPS rose only by 35% to 1.289. Like, I mean, basically, the EPS is shrinking. Why? Because I think why? Because because of this recapitalization, they added like new shares to the company, right? And when new shares are added to a company, dilution happens. And when dilution happens, EPS reduces. Basically, it's as simple as that. So usually in the past, when there was lesser shares in the company, let me just see if I can break it down as simple as possible. So let's imagine that in the past, selling bank had like 10 workers, right? That used to bake cake. And then those 10 workers, when they bake the cake, they were able to bake like, let me say, 5 cakes, right? And after baking the cake, each of them had the opportunity to get two, two, like they have the opportunity to get like a large quantity, let me say up to even 4 quantity in just one cake that they bake out of the 10. But because of they now added new shares, maybe they added new workers to the business. Now, when after baking the cake, when they start sharing the cake, the quantity of shares that each person gets from after the baking reduces. So that is basically just what happened to Sterling Bank. So they are making money, profit is growing, but when you now start distributing the profit among the shareholders or because of the outstanding shares that they added to the business, what you earn per share that you have now reduces. So for the EPS to grow, Sterling Bank have to basically grow their earnings. They have to grow their profit so that as a shareholder, I know that okay, for each share that I own, right, I'm making good enough money to sustain the amount of money I purchased that share from. I don't know if that makes sense. I hope I'm making sense. So you guys are, if you understand, please type yes in the comment section. Let me be sure you guys understand what I'm saying. So guys, can you understand what I'm saying? It's very important. I want to be sure if you guys can understand what I'm saying, right? So guys, let me know. Can you understand what I'm saying? I just wanted to be sure. Let's go back to Sterling Bank. So that's exactly what's going on with Sterling Bank right now. Um, So they literally, and you can see people are already dumping the shares. If you go to AFX, you can see that the price is reducing because people are thinking, I mean, if you compare it to what the earning per share of other companies, you can see that Sterling Bank it might not be worth holding anymore for investors, right? And you can see it's already dropping in price. Well, for me, I just think that if you are a smart investor, if you have made money from the stock, especially, you might want to exit and then wait for a pullback. And then if they hit their earnings, you can, or before they release their earnings, because I think they might likely hit it, you can tap into it and make some money. But again, you can decide to still buy now and dollar cost average it out, or naira cost average it out. Let me not use dollar because you're using naira to invest, right? So um that's just it for Sterling Bank. Another headline that we need to touch on. Another headline we need to touch on is let me see. Give me a second. Is MPC, which is monetary policy rates. So this is also important for you to have an idea about on as an investor, right? So give me a second, guys. So let me share my screen again. Because can you guys see my screen? Let me know if you can see my screen. Can you see my screen? Let me know if you can see my screen, guys. Please comment if you can see my screen. Comment if you can see my screen. And as you're watching, please go ahead to like the video. It's very, very important that you like this video. The market will soon open self. Okay, please says you can hear me. No. Uh, Christopher says, please can you show how to verify Ella Lakes and also means the NGX required for being listed? Okay, praise from Benin City. Can you guys see my screen? Can you see my screen? My screen is not showing. I don't know why. I need to be sure you guys can see my screen. Can you see my screen? I need to be sure you guys can see my screen. Just like my screen is not showing, I can share again. Uh, okay, you guys cannot see my screen. Sorry. Let me try sharing again. So while I try to share my screen, please go ahead to like this video. Like this video, guys. Let me see if you guys can see my. Let me try sharing it again. Can you see the screen? So I don't know why my screen is not showing. But let's wait a second and see if it's going to go ahead to show because I started sharing my screen and then seems like everything is blank. I don't know if it's from YouTube. Okay. So you cannot see my screen. Let's see. Let's wait a second, guys. I don't know if I should just stop sharing. I really don't know why it's not showing. I'm trying to like go through an article from Nairametrics that is very important that we go through. Well, I think I might have to stop sharing and just. I mean, I don't know why it's not sharing. I really wanted to show you guys. Okay, it showed and then it showed and then it went off. Let me try sharing again. I think it might be network. Let me try sharing it again. So guys, while you wait for it to come up, like this video while I look at the comment section. Like this video. If you're not like this video, I'll not be happy with you guys. Have you started showing now? Is it showing now? It shows and go off. Okay, is it showing now? Please, if you can, if you're seeing my screen, please let me know because it's very very important we go through this. It's very very important because this is going to drive how you're going to invest going forward, especially if you like mutual funds and the rest of them. So comment if you can see my screen. Emmanuel Dumodu says you can see my screen. It's the only Emmanuel that can see my screen. We have over 20 people on this live. So if you can see my screen, guys, let me know it's not just Emmanuel. Please leave a comment if you can see my screen. If you can see my screen, let me know in the comment section. It's the only Emmanuel that can see my screen. Okay, let's see. So I'll just take it that you guys can see my screen since Emmanuel says screen. Let's see. Is it just Emmanuel that can see my screen? Okay, let me just go ahead. So CBN experts predict 50 basic points to 200 basic points rate cut on declining inflation. So I mean, the Central Bank of Nigeria is likely going to be meeting today. You know, today is Monday 24th, and they'll meet on Tuesday tomorrow, which is tomorrow. With economists and basically market analysts. Okay, so they'll be meeting on Monday, today, and tomorrow, right? And their goal of meeting basically is to know if they are going to cut rates, whether they will cut monetary policy rates or whether they will leave it at its current price. Now, why they meet is to know when it comes to cutting rates. Usually, when the CBN cut rates, it's going to affect how banks borrow money from the CBN, right? And when interest rates from the CBN, when the interest rate from the CBN is down, it means as a business owner, when you go to the bank to borrow money, you borrow it at a fair price, right? And usually this helps to grow the economy. Usually the people they increase usually they increase rate because when there is too much of money in circulation they increase rates, and sometimes also even increase the cash reserve ratio just to see how they can control inflation and other stuff in the economy. But with inflation coming down in Nigeria, with currency devaluation coming down, the naira has been beating the dollar lately, right? I mean, the economy has been stabilizing, and there are high chances that with the economy stabilizing, I know that in terms of let's say security wise, you might say that's not the case, but in terms of economic activity, in terms of inflation, in terms of in terms of inflation, in terms of currency, we are seeing some progress in that space, right? So there are high chances that when they meet today or tomorrow, they might reduce interest rate. And for example, the last euro bond that the Nigerian government offered, many people rushed it, like it was over flooded, and people are rushing it because they believe that that might be the best rate that they can or they will get it at, because there are high chances that interest rate is going to drop, right? And if you read this article further, you see that most of the analysts are predicting that interest rate is going to drop, right? You can see fixed income trader at CFG Africa, Uma, Abdul Kader expect the committee to implement another 50 basic point reduction, right? But the place that really caught my attention is the prediction of Arnold from Drinks and Mike. If you read further, he says they are going to cut it by over 200 points, basic point. Let me see. Okay, because according to Arnold, in my view, since the last NPR cut to 27%, I've seen Treasury bill yield decline by 140% basic points. Bond yield also declined by 100 basic points, and inflation down by 100 basic points. So I see a 25% monetary policy rate. I mean, I'll know if we see 25% rate cuts today or tomorrow, right? I won't be surprised. So what it basically means that the best time to purchase mutual fund, the best time to purchase bond was yesterday. That's just the honest truth. That like the best time to purchase most of this safe investment vehicle was yesterday. If we have a rate cut today, it means that if you're looking to get high yield from treasury bills, from mutual funds, there are high chances that you won't be getting um, yields that are worth putting your money to. Now, the good thing about this is that when yields are coming down, and are no longer sweet enough for investors. They now start running to equity, right? We now start seeing investors coming to the equity market to find better yields from undervalued companies. And that's why you need to start positioning yourself early now in the market. You need to start looking for companies that you can buy. So when the interest rate, because I believe that they're going to cut the rate, like I truly believe they'll cut the rate. But if they don't cut it, it's still fine. But I believe they'll cut the rate, right? So if they cut the rate, there are high chances that people will start looking at positioning themselves in 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 the equity market. Now, why I'm still having a little bit of doubt when it comes to rate cuts today is because of like I said, things are stabilizing in the economy, inflation is dropping, right? But why I'm still having some little bit of doubt is we're already seeing the situation of things in Nigeria right now, right? I mean, economic wise, things are safe, stable to an extent, but security wise, things are not really stable. So I don't know if they're going to consider that. I don't know, but my mind is telling me that they might end up considering that because when security is an issue, sometimes it can also start having a ripple effect in in terms of the economy because nobody wants to go out again to farm. People don't want to go ahead to do their businesses, and then things start becoming expensive again, right? So that's why we really need to fix the security issues in Nigeria. And those this last week, I think the naira performed. Last week was one of the worst performing week for the naira so far against the dollar, right? I think the naira is now trading at around 150, 1,450 naira per dollar. But previously, it closed around the last time I sold my dollar, I sold it for 1,433 naira, right? But that's still rising back again. So I don't know if they're going to also put that into consideration, but I believe that they might end up cutting the rates. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. If you think they're not going to cut rate, let me know. Do you guys think they're going to cut the interest rate? And is this something you want or is this something you don't want? Let me know in the comment section. Do you want them to cut the rate or do you want them to leave it at where it is? Or like, what are your predictions? Let me know. Let's interact more in the comment section. Do you think they will cut rate or do you think they will not cut the rate? Let me know in the comment section and why. I've been sharing my screen all this while, and then I would love to see what you guys think about this interest rate of a thing. So, guys, do you think they're going to cut interest rate, or do you think that it's best that they leave it at where it is? Let me know. And then again, I have another question. Okay. Henry says yes. So, Henry, are you referring to this interest rate cut or are you referring to my screen? I want to be sure. But I just want to know, do you think they'll cut interest rates or do you think they will not cut interest rates? And then if you have any questions for me, please let me know. Uh, Let me know in the comment section, guys. Do you have any questions? Which stocks are you holding? Which stocks do you have questions about? Let me know in the comment section. Let's see. Okay, Manuel says that he thinks they'll cut the interest rates. Interesting. 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 I mean, I also think they will cut it. I also think they will cut it. Let's watch. If they cut it, it will actually be a good thing for businesses. It will actually be a good thing for businesses, and I mean for the market as well. I think interest rate will cut because inflation rate is dropping. The truth is that inflation rate is dropping, but at the end of the day, in terms of are we the question is, are we seeing it in terms of food? Because that's what most Nigerians care about. That's what most Nigerians care about. If you read the inflation report from Nairametrics recently, you see that while inflation is dropping, in terms of food wise, it's rose a little bit, and it might even rise more as we are going into December. I mean, let's see. Let me see. This NGX. So, guys, let me know. Do you think they'll cut rate? I've started seeing some comments already. Do you think they'll cut the rate or not? And I'm trying to understand. There's someone that asked me a question and say, please, can you show how to verify LLX and also submit the NGS stream float for being listed? Okay, please use their financial statement to work that. I'll ask Christopher Maximilian. Christopher Maximilian. Okay, okay. Let me see if I can pull up their financial statements. LLX. Let me see if I can get their financial statements. Uh, Let me see. LLX 2025. Let's see if you can check for LLX financial statements. Give me a second, guys. The best stock in the breweries sector. I mean, I was previously holding these guys. I was previously holding international breweries. I was previously holding them. For me, I'm just waiting for their. I'm waiting for their Q4. Then we can now combine everything and see if it's what to start buying them or not. Uh, Let me see. Free float. Hmm. So, guys, give me a second. I have to go and start. At the price of three, I'm planning to load QTIC stock to hold for 3 years. If you do 5 years, please. I mean, QTIC stocks at the price of 3 naira, 13, okay, 13 kobo. Have you bought it already? Have you purchased QTICs already? Chira. Have you purchased QTICs already? QTICs is a stock we called earlier this year. I think what our advice is for some of you guys that find it difficult to do research, you might have to be patient because trying to like research and find good stocks to buy ahead of next year is going to be it's going to take quite some time. So I'm going to make our time to really do in-depth research to find stocks that we can buy ahead of next year. I have to do research. It's not something I just come and start saying buy this one, buy that one. It takes some time to do this research. But I mean, QTX is a stock that I would really say like if you're investing for the long term, I mean, it's worth holding. And you say for 3 years, if it would do 5x, interesting. I mean, it depends on their performance as well. It depends on their performance, but I think that they have what it takes to really even double in price or do 3x most likely. QTX is a very solid company, very, very solid company, a very solid company, QTX. I think it's a solid company. Let me see. Trying to. I know I mentioned something about this free float of a thing. Let me first of all download. I'm trying to find Ella Leaks, get their financial statements. Okay, their financial statement July 2025. So give me a second. So if you have any questions for me, please drop your comments, your questions in the comment section, guys. Drop your questions in the comment section, and I'll try my best to attend to your questions. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section. In terms of which app to use to invest in the stock market, if you're a beginner, I would say you should, and you want to start as fast as possible, I would say you should check out the likes of Bamboo and True, even though sometimes they can be quite hectic to 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 use, right? But now the problem with this LR leaks, okay, is I bridge report I went and downloaded. It's the problem in Nigeria is that most of these are documents are not well structured. I have to start finding this financial statement. I mean, okay, so you're planning to buy more. Chirami. Okay, Kolawole, Sam. Yeah, I don't really. I do technical, but like I'm not really, let's say, perfect with technical. I just do more fundamentals, and then I try to check in terms of technical. I just try to check the lowest it has been, the highest. I check the 52 week slow, and I check the volume. Right, it's not like I start doing like most of these forex traders that kill themselves with jargons and try to. I don't really do in depth kind of jargon based technical analysis. I look at support resistance. I look at fair value gap where institutions are coming in. I look at most of those necessary things I need to look at in terms of the technicalities of the stock. Or I mainly do fundamentals because at the end of the day, your superpower lies in being able to combine technical and fundamental analysis. So I do technicals more and do more fundamental because I'm not trading, I'm investing, right? And I use that to make a decision. Chris, Christopher Maximilian, I think I will. This is something I will have to go and download their financial statement and you know because what I downloaded now is their bridge report. I'm trying to see if I can get their financial statement. I've gone to the NGX. I don't have it in my system, so I might have to. I don't know. Maybe send me a message on IG or something, and then I'll try my best to respond. But I like this question, and I believe that they meet the free float requirements. I mean, I'm referring to Ella Leaks. Aso Savings is a company that is still going through reconstruction, share reconstruction. So, the best people we can use for this question, trying to see if I can highlight it on my screen, would be Ella Leaks. Would be Ella Leaks. Trying to download their financial statement. Trying to let me see what I downloaded now. Okay, it was their average report, so it does not have the details I need to check. Basically, trying to see if I can get an annual report. Okay, let me see. I really want to answer this question. Other leaks, annual reports. Let's see. Is it the annual report? Okay, I think it's it. Let me check. Let me see if it's the annual reports. Shares standing. Okay. Okay. You have Jackpa Emmanuel. Let me see. I mean, this is always. Oh, I need to start. Give me a second, guys. I'm trying to find Ella League's financial statement. I think I've seen it. Let me download it. Okay. Outstanding shares. Uh, okay. Okay. What is your advice being a trader? Guys, if you have questions, drop your questions in the comment section. This is your time to ask me any question you have. Any question that will now require me to start searching for financial statement because I'm trying to download this guy's financial statements. I've just seen it now. So, what is your advice for being a trader or investor, especially which doesn't make more money? I mean, I would always say it's better you are an investor. Better to be an investor than being a trader. That's usually the best to be an investor because I mean, even Warren Buffett or some of the people I look up to, they don't advise you to trade the market because you cannot beat the market. You cannot beat most of these institutions that have that basically have more data, more insight than you, right? So that's what I would say. Uh, that's what I would say. So I rather be an investor. I rather advise you be an investor. And the truth about the Nigerian market is Nigerian market is not what you can actually trade. For you to really make money trading Nigerian market, you have to be patient because it takes time for shares to really give you the kind of let's say movement you need to be able to make solid money, right? So that's what I advise. So I rather advise you be an investor over being a trader. Okay. Um, I mean, keep your questions coming. Sh- Keep your questions coming, guys. Keep your question coming. If you have any questions, let me know. Also, I'm also curious to know which company are you currently watching in the market, or which stocks are you holding, or which stocks do you think is going to do well heading into 2026? Okay. Okay. I checked ASO savings, Ella Lakes, etc., and couldn't see where they have. FTC said that they have or not met. Okay, sure, sure. That's what I'm currently on this your question, Christopher. I'm currently on it now. I'm currently on it. I'm using Ella Lakes particularly, not ASO savings. What's your take on diversification in stocks for small capital like 1 million? Okay, these are a very solid question. I don't know how to highlight a question. Like that's what I've been trying to do. Okay. So basically, I would suggest you okay. Okay, just to be sure, Kolawole, are you referring to stock specifically? You mean overall investment diversification when you have a capital of 1 million naira? I want to be sure so I will know how to answer this your question. Um, Germany. Kolawale, I want to be sure of your question. Are you referring to overall diversification or is it stocks particularly? Please let me know. Okay, so I'm watching. I have tip, charms. Let me see. I'm still waiting for your response, Kolawale. Okay, okay. Stocks. So if you're referring to stocks, I would say that you should basically divide your portfolio into, I would say three, because 1 million is still not small money, but it's small money. But three is not bad if you're starting with 1 million naira. I would say a huge chunk of that money should go to long term, long term bets, right? And this has to do with your dividend stocks. So let me say you have with your 1 million naira capital, we can work with 400,000 naira or even 500k, depending on you, right? So this particular money is it to buy maybe two solid dividend stocks. We work with 500,000 naira, right, rather. So you can put in 250,000 naira in maybe Zenith Bank, another 250k, maybe RRDL, because these are two stocks I believe would obviously pay off on the long run, not only in terms of dividends, but also in terms of capital appreciation, especially RRDL, right? So you put 500k in these two stocks, and then any money that comes in the future, you can basically be investing it to do these two stocks. Now, your remaining 500,000 naira, you can as well split it into two. 250k would be for maybe short-term capital appreciation, and then another 250k would now be for not really long term, but you can say medium term rather, right? What should I go for? No, no, I will not say you should go for penny stocks with a majority of your capital. I will say that 500k should be for like it should be for stability in your portfolio, right? So you can go for the likes of Zenith Bank, like I said, and the likes of Another holdings with your 500k. This is for stability. And then your remaining 500k, you can now split it into two again, right? One is for risk taking. You can put one in LR and just forget about it, which is you can put 250k in LR and just forget about it. And then your remaining 250k, you can now use it for medium term investing, where you're investing the likes of, let me say, QTX, which other stock again is solid, even Okumu Oil, right? Okomo oil or Presco. I rather go for Presco over Okomo oil, right? Because even though it doesn't really move like as fast as you want, it actually moves and it moves slow but steady. And it doesn't even depreciate much in price because people know the value. So 500k for really long term, which is the likes of RRDL Holdings or even Zenith and for stability. And then the remaining 500k you split it into two. 250k can be for risk taking, right? You put it in LR leaks and just forget about it. And then the remaining 250k can be in medium term, the likes of QTX um or even what they call them again, Presco, right? Those are the two. That's basically what I'm going to recommend. Free floats. So I'm trying to find restricted. So if you have any questions, let me know again, guys. Uh, Yes, you can rewatch the video. You can rewatch the video. So what is okay? Chibike asked me. Okay, I'm coming. Chibike, give me a second, please. Um, let me open my doc. Where is Ella Lakes? Mm. Okay, I have tips. Charm Ardell name insurance preschool. Okay. Oh, you have an Ardell tantalizer, right? Are these all you have in your portfolio, Kolowale? Is this all you have in your portfolio? These stocks you mentioned right now. Okay. These educators on Japan stock. I mean, Japan is a stock I've never really wanted to touch. For me, I just see it as a stock that I should trade and not invest in. I've not really looked into their financials when it drops for the full year. Um, when it drops for the full year, then we can now start talking about whether it's worth investing. But so far, so good. Japan Gold is a stock that for me, I'd rather trade it than invest in it. It's just like Owando. Owando is a stock I don't really think I would advise anybody to invest in, right? Share capital. Version 8. So where is Christopher's question? Okay. Christopher, the same issue you have now, I'm actually having it. I'm trying to go through Ella Lake's financial statement to find their share capital. And it's taking me time because I have to basically be scrolling and be reading. And it's not something I want to start doing on this call right now. I've been going through their financial statements, trying to find the authorized share capital, right? Because for me to be able to calculate Ella Lake's free float, I have to basically see the number of issued shares that they have, and then see the the like the number of I have to see the number of the like, total number of issued shares that they have, and then I have to see the restricted shares. So what I have to basically do is now subtract the number of issued shares that they have, like over the restricted shares. So that will now give me, the free float. I can now times it by 100. I can now know whether they meet the requirement or not, right? So that's the major problem I'm currently having right now. I'm going through their financial statement. I just went to the let me see. Let me just share my screen, obviously. Let me see. This is Ella Leaks financials. It's 50 pages. It's not supposed to be that much. So this is some of the directors that own shares in the company, right? Uh, so this is Japa Emmanuel. Can you guys see my screen? Can you see my screen, please? I'm going over Ella Lake's financial statements. Please let me know if you can see my screen. Okay. Can you see my screen? Wow. Can you see it now? Please let me know. Can you see my screen? Ah, Omo. What is wrong? Okay, it has come up. Okay. Okay. So these are the number of shareholders. Like you can see substantial shareholders in the company, right? So you can see that no other shareholder above these guys hold 5% and above the number of issued and fully paid up shares. So these are the majority shareholders. So all we have to do is to sum up these their shares now and then subtract it by the total issued shares that they have, right? So give me a second, guys. I need to have the mathematics in my head. Because all these things is math. How do we add this up now? I have to use calculator or something. Okay. Okay, you can see my screen. Okay. Uh Most of the time, 15 years, concerning investment, 200,000 money to build a portfolio, both fixed or income and equity market. I'm going to come to your question. I mean, let's see. How do we start? We need to start adding all these numbers up. I mean, it's a little bit technical to check the free float. That's what I would say, Christopher. And I have to start calculating now. I have to get a calculator. But the math is and it's something I also want to check when I'm out of here. Let me just share my screen and show you. And it's something I also want to check myself. But I know that the payment, when I checked, last time I checked, it was around 67%, right? So they're a very solid free float company. Let me give you the maths. Mm, Let me give you the maths. Let me share my screen. Give me a second, guys. I'm trying to share my screen. Okay. Maths basically. This is the maths you will use. So you have to find the total issued shares of LR leaks. You guys are not seeing my screen. Okay, can you see my screen? So you have to find the total issued shares of the company, and then you subtract it by the total restricted shares. So the total restricted shares is basically, where is it again? You can see with another. So this you have to like add up. This is the like, and like this is the major people that have shares in the company. Aside from these guys, and nobody that have as an insider or anything of that sort that has like huge stake in the company. So when we sum up everything, we figure out we that's this is if you sum up everything here, that's going to be equal to the restricted shares, right? So once we have gotten these restricted shares, we subtract it by the total issued shares of LR leaks. So once we get it, we can now say free float unit divided by the total issued shares times 100. You get so that thing that result we get here, we now divide it by the total issued shares of LR leaks and times it by 100, and then we can now know their free float, which is 67%. And if you check NGX free float requirement documents, let's check the document out. Network is bad. I mean, network is bad. Stop sharing. Let this thing load. Network is bad. Or is it from NGX website? I'm trying to load up NGX free flows requirements document. I just don't know if this is answering Christopher's question because that's the most important thing for me right now. Trying to. Session. So let me see. Document is not even loading. I don't know. NGX website is so slow, guys. So slow. And NGX website is slow. Wow, man. NGX website is so slow. Let me just share my screen again. NGX website is slow, guys. Very slow. Man. Oops. Let me just try again. Can you see my screen, guys? Please let me know. I'm trying to share my screen again. Please, can you see my screen? Let me know, guys. Can you see my screen? My screen has gone blank. No. Okay. Okay. You cannot see my screen. Ah, I think it's the network. Can you see my screen now? Okay, amazing. Amazing. Okay. So let me just go back to the document. So the if you calculate the total number of issued shares that is not restricted, right, you can see that it gives us 3 million, around 3 million. This is the financial statement of Ella Lakes, by the way. This is the financial statement. So it comes up to around 3 million shares, like issued shares capital of Ella Lakes, right? So if you come to our document, you can now say 3 million subtracted by all these shares, like substantial shareholders. If you have to add up everything here, when you add up everything here, you now subtract this 3 million from it. You subtract this 3 million shares. I'm referring to Christopher. You subtract these 3 million shares from from what you get when you add everything. So that figure that you get, you now use it again to divide these 3 million shares, then you times it by 100. That will now give you the free float percentage. Now, if you go to NGX, depending on the board that you list on, or but overall, I'll not say depending on the, but overall, you need to have at least a free float of I think around 20% or thereabout for you to be able to meet their requirement to be a public company, right? And I believe that even if you do the calculation, I believe that LL Lakes is like it fully meets that free flow requirement. If it fully meets that requirement. So that's just how to check because there's no place. I don't think there's any place they stated on the document that they meet or that they met the free flow requirement. It's something you have to now calculate by yourself. There are some financial statements that when you go through it, it's going to be stated on the document. Why there are some people that don't state it, you have to just do the calculations by yourself, right? So Christopher, I don't know if that makes sense. Um, so that's for your question, Christopher. Uh, What's your advice for someone who wants to retire in 15 years, consistently investing 300,000 naira monthly? So there was a math that was done by, I think, I'm trying to remember the person that did this math. The person basically asked one of these AIs that if I save 20,000 naira, I've forgotten the particular figure, but it amounted to over 80 million naira. Like, let me say you just give birth and your child is just starting from zero, right? And then you're consistently saving 20,000 naira monthly or investing it in fixed income securities or most of these, yeah, fixed income safe securities, right? And then if you compound it basically, by the time your child clocks, I think 18, you would have had over 15 million naira thereabouts. And that money can literally fund your child's time in the university or something like, yeah, in the university, I believe, or even you can even decide to fly them out of the country. Hopefully, if inflation is still good, and then if the economy is good, because maybe by then Nigeria might be worse, Nigeria might be better, right? So it just depends on the situation of things. But I would say that the power of this 300,000 naira question you asked me is the compounding effect. Imagine that you're basically putting this in a in a fixed income, or in an equity mutual fund, like a solid equity mutual fund in Nigeria, right? There are high chances that this money in 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 15 years time it might have 100x safe, right? But I'll not say you should, because equity mutual funds can be quite risky. So I'll not say you should go for equity mutual funds. I'll just say, if you're talking about investing 300,000 naira, I would say you should use it to I would say you should put it mainly maybe in a dividend portfolio or in a mutual fund. As well as going to be my advice. And every month you're just putting the money in there and look, and you're not touching the money. So yeah, that would be my advice. Or you can even look for a US dollar ETF, a US dollar based ETF, and invest in, and just be putting the money there. In fact, that's the best way for you to protect yourself against inflation and devaluation, because the US have like a track record of always performing well, right? And there are high chances that you're not going to still lose. So if I was you, I might decide to just split up the money, 150,000 naira in a Nigerian based maybe right or mutual fund, and then the remaining money I'll not put it in. I'll just be like dollar cost averaging, just every month I'm putting it in a USD based I'll not say mutual fund, sorry, ETF, because it's going to be difficult for you to get like a USD based mutual fund from Nigeria. And the only way for you to get that is to invest in ETF that also holds some US dollar based. Okay, please analyze between Dangote Cement, Lafarge and Bosman, which is a good buy and hold on. Okay, Kolawole. Okay, for me, I would say for me, I would. It depends. This is a good question. Dangote Cement, Lafarge. I mean, it depends on your risk to reward ratio. If you're looking for stability, if you're looking for stability and a little bit of upside, I would say Dangote Cement. If you're a little bit of upside, but if you compare it to that of Lafarge, I would say I believe that Lafarge offers a better upside. But for stability case, I would say Dangote Cement for me. While Cement is also solid. So Dangote Cement, I would say buy. Lafarge, I would say sell. And Boa Cement, I would say hold. Sorry, I missed it up. Sorry, Dangote Cement hold. Boa Cement buy. Lafarge sell. That's it for me. Stanbic ETF 30. So I have right below, I have a video on Stanbic ETF 30. I have a video that is coming on that. I'll go deeper into that, into Stanbic ETF 30. It's one of the best ETFs you have in Nigeria. My problem with Stanbic is their application. Their app, they have one of the worst. They think that they have one of the best app, but I mean, their app is not really functional. Basically, Stanbic, okay, but yeah, they have bad user experience. Stanbic, Chidera, they have bad user experience, but I mean, they have some of the best investment securities in Nigeria. Their ETF, that their Stanbic ETF 30, what it basically does is it tracks the 30 most, let's say, valuable and most liquid companies in the Nigerian stock market. Right, it's just like the S&P 500. S&P 500 is the 500 most valuable companies, and one of the tracks some of the 500 best and most valuable companies in the US. And every time it's changing actually, right? So Stanbic ETF 30 is just like investing in S&P 500, but for this time around for the Nigerian markets. Yeah, we already done 1 hour here, guys. I mean, I have to call it a day. I have other things I have to do. Um, yeah, I agree with you, Tolovio. I agree with you totally. Totally agree with you. Christopher, I mean, I hope I've been able to give you like some clues in regards to the Ella Lakes, free float. I hope I've been able to give you some clues. There is no place specifically in the documents where they stated that they met the free flow requirements. For me to start going through that document now, I mean, it's going to be crazy. But one thing you need to know is that for you to calculate it, just all you have to do is the total issued shares that they have, subtract it from the restricted shares, that shares that is owned by the directors and all that stuff. Then you get the figure that you get. You now subtract it. Sorry, you now divide it by the total issued shares and then times it by 100. That will give you their free float percentage. You can now compare to the NGX. And I think if you do the math, it will be around 67% or thereabouts, right? And you can see that over 30 something percent, like it's just what they own, and then the rest is available to the public to trade. So, sorry, over 67% is what they own, I mean to say, and then the rest is available to the public to trade. So their free float percentage is not bad. So is a little bit liquid. So it's liquid to an extent. That's what I would say. Also, savings, I'll have to go and download their financial statement to go through it, right? So that's for that. If you have not yet liked this video, what are you waiting for? So I mean, that's it for this week, guys. I hope to see you guys next week Monday. I'll try my best to be going live every Monday morning before the market opens. I think the market have opened by now. So that's it for today, guys. We'll call it a day. Yeah, as usual, I was always in day. Bye, guys.